Hey there guys, it's Metro emergency video. It's a lot to go over here, okay? If you haven't seen the Wowhead post yet, here's what the title is. New and reworked affixes, new achievement for no depletes. What a terrible, terrible title, by the way. But it's very confusing when you read it the first time. I read this 4 or 5 times now. We're going to make the video on it, okay? This is a big deal. One way or the other. Huge deal. Biggest deal. Maybe the biggest deal ever. New account-wide achievement. So... this is like a post summarizing it. We're going to look at this because there's comments on here that I want to read. Here's the actual post, okay? This is Blizzard saying this. New account-wide achievement. The War Within Legend. That's me. I'm a legend, bro. Season 2. Requirement. Attain a Mythic Plus rating of at least 2850 during the War Within Season 2. Reward. Failing to clear a Mythic Plus dungeon within the timer will no longer reduce the level of your Keystone below 12 for the season. Okay. Big deal. I mean, we could react like we can go nuts at this, but we're going to keep reading. Keystone from Weekly Vault will not decay below 12 with this achievement. Keystone can still be lowered below 12 by speaking to Lindor Me. So, read it like 4 or 5 times now. Obviously, you guys watch the channel, you know what I'm thinking, what I'm doing. I don't think it's what it sounds like at first. Well, maybe I'm just crazy and I misread it, but to me, it initially sounded like, especially with the Wowhead post, because now let's read the Wowhead post, what it says. Blizzard has announced new and reworked affixes. Nobody cares about that. This is what we care about. No depletes with a new achievement. When you type that, you better come correct. Because I was mad. I'm mad at you. I'm mad at you guys for... I was running up the stairs again. With this wording, this could either mean... Keystones that are in the range of 2 to 11 can no longer deplete, or keystones that are at 12 plus can no longer deplete. I think there's a third option, guys, at Wowhead. I think it means the key cannot ever go below 12 again on, like, accident. It can still go below 12 if you choose to make it below 12. But it sounds like the achievement is once you've done all 12s in time, which I believe is what 2850 would be. I don't know that for sure. Let me know that if that's not correct. I assume that's all 12s in time. But maybe, like I said, not sure. Failing to clear a Mythic Plus dungeon within the timer will no longer reduce the level of your Keystone below 12 for the season. So the reason that Wowhead says there's 2 options is because it does kind of sound like they're saying if the key is already below 12, it can't go any lower than that. But that has nothing to do, like, why would that, like, that doesn't make sense. What, 2850... I don't know. I mean, I guess it could be that way. But that'd be really, really weird to make it 2850 then if that's the case. You would make it for all 11s or probably even all 10s, right? So strange wording. But I think what this is saying is that if you have an 18, it can go lower to 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, but not below 12 ever again. Like you now have a new baseline. And it's almost like they're creating 2 systems here, which is what I said was going to pretty much happen in the beta. Like they created the situation where 11s and 12s are vastly different keys now, which is a dumb idea. And again, we're making weird decisions because of how dumb of an idea this was. How many times do I have to say? I don't even want to sound like I'm bragging about it, but it's like I called this. You guys asked for bad ideas to get put into the game, and now we have these ridiculous, like, it's just more and more and more work. But nobody wants this, right? Nobody actually asked for this. They didn't want this. They want things to be the way they want, and Blizzard isn't willing to give you those things, right? So we're going to read a couple comments, but you're not going to get no depletes. Like, it's a different game then if you have absolutely no depleted keys. That's not possible, given the way keys currently work and the way score currently works. So it's possible that they will do that, but it's not going to come in the way that you think. This is like, you got to start thinking these feedback pieces through. Because this is what you get. I mean, this really isn't exactly... I don't know that this is direct feedback to anything. But a lot of people, you know, again, I could be totally wrong with what I'm reading here, but a lot of people think that one way or the other that this is something. And it's literally just your key cannot go below 12 because you've demonstrated that you only should be doing higher than 12. And I don't know. But it's interesting one way or the other. Like right now, 12 is a big progression point for a lot of people. So that's kind of cool. But I think you have to have done all 12s to get this. So that's why I said I don't know what 2850 is, but I'm pretty sure it's all 12s. Meaning that this doesn't, like, nobody cares about. Who cares about that? Like, it's almost nothing, right? because if you're doing 12s and you've done all 12s, then you're doing 13s now. So your key going below 12 would just be like, you're not going to do it anyway. But I guess like now at the end of the day, it's like, all right, well, let's keep re-rolling the 12 and maybe try to get a double upgrade. I don't know. I don't know who wants this or what this is or why anybody like what I don't know what this is. But it's a good idea because you created two basically demarcations in the system and the landscape, and you kind of had to do this, right? Because like I said at the beginning, imagine if 12 was your progression point. Well, this still is going to happen. So actually, this does nothing. I don't know. I'm probably missing something. You guys can explain it to me. You guys always do. But if you do not have 2850, which I assume means you still need 12s, and you're trying to do your own key, then you're still going to be stuck with an 11, which is a totally different landscape than a 12. So I don't know. But there's other changes. We got to read these two. Unified enemy buffs on all Xal'atath's bargain affixes with Xal'atath's gift. Increasing damage done by up to 50% and reducing damage taken by up to 100% for 20 seconds on all nearby enemies in combat. What is that? New affix, Xal'atath's bargain, Pulsar. While in combat, Xal'atath summons pulsars that orbit players. Why? Xal'atath's Guile has been redesigned. Now causes keystones above level 12 to increase health and damage of enemies by 12% per level instead of 10% per level. So they just kind of buffed it back up. And it's like kind of, you know, I guess there's like some off chance that the way it does, because this is why I was reacting to this, right? Maybe I didn't make this clear. I keep pressing the 7 key. Wowhead is basically, they're typing here that all keys above 12 can no longer deplete. That's not what I'm reading. Okay, now that's possible. That could be what they're saying. It just doesn't make sense given the context of everything else they're changing. But it could be that. So if that was true, then obviously they should buff Guile back probably to 20%. Like it should, because I don't know a lot of people realize this, but at one point it was 20% per level. Now it's down to 10. That was a huge, huge, huge nerf. Okay, anyway, Xal'atath's Voidbound has been redesigned. Dark Prayer now has a 15-second cast time and grants all nearby enemies in combat Xal'atath's gift when the cast completes. No longer grants damage reduction while active. Potency of Xal'atath's gift granted by Dark Prayer is based on the remaining shield percentage of the Void Emissary. So that's mentioned up here. Unified enemy buffs on all Xal'atath's bargain affixes with Xal'atath's gift. Meaning that, like, I don't know what this means, to be honest. But I think it means, like, if you fail the affix, the enemy gets this always. Nothing different weekly, right? Is that what this means? Increasing damage done by up to 50% and reduce. So if you fail 20 stacks of the thing, then the mob takes no damage. Is that how it works? Like, dude, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I feel so disconnected from keys below 11. Like, it's actually really weird. I review these pieces of footage that you guys send me. I'm like, what the hell is that thing that spawned? Oh, it's like, oh, right, I forgot. It's actually a bad design. Like, it's really weird how they designed two different versions of Mythic Plus, basically. But whatever. I'm sure, you know, whatever. We're not here to talk about that today. So anyway, there's nothing else on here, but there's the comments. So let's read these comments. We'll see 40 comments. Oh, another 4 have been posted. Okay, so here we go. These are great. If you guys never watched me do these, you're going to laugh. Xal'atath's Guile has been redesigned. So they're talking about the 2% buff to the keys. The guy just says, stop it. I mean, I don't know why they're doing it. I don't know why they would announce it, like if they're doing it. I don't know what the point of it is. I mean, it was 20%, which was pretty ridiculous. But with all the changes and buffs and nerfs and everything else, like if you give me a 12 with the 20% buff now compared to then, it doesn't look hard at all, I'm sure. So it's like, why did they go back to 12? I don't know. They don't seem to explain why they're doing it. But anyway, this comment makes me laugh. Making the jump from 11 to 12 even harder. Bring on the toxicity of the community now when someone rips the key. Well, it was 20. It was 20. Do you know that? I don't know how many people don't know that. I bet a lot of people. This guy, a very, very intelligent comment. I guess at least he used the comma, but he forgot the period. Just make it so no keys complete and call it a day. And I'm sure a lot of people... I made a video on them removing the timer and going to a death-based chart, like a system with deaths. And I think probably about 25% of the comments on that video were like, no, they shouldn't. They should just be removing whatever they wanted, right? And I don't know how, like, I get it. Like, it's kind of brought up in the video, so it's whatever. But, like, it's hard to get this across to people. And I don't want to sound, like, rude or something about it. But it's like, Blizzard's not just going to fucking do what you want. Do you understand that? Like, they have a system in mind. They have goals in that system. They have plans for the system to work a certain way. So if you're like, I don't like the way the system works, change it to be like the way we want. They're not going to do that, okay? You tried this with Titan Forging. You did it with, like, I mean, pretty much every bad decision, right? Like, honestly, I think you could source almost every bad decision to some stupid-ass community feedback. I really, really, really do. That's my opinion. I'm sure a lot of people like some of the decisions that get made, so you won't agree with me just because of that. But I think every decision I disliked, which is not many, in the World of Warcraft 20 years, is because somebody said something like, I mean, really, the first one. Make leveling easier. Heirlooms, like nerf leveling to the point where it doesn't matter. Make tanking, it's too hard. And then in Wrath, like tanks literally just stand there, have full threat, and take no damage. It's like every bad decision comes from bad feedback, okay? So you're giving bad feedback again. And you're saying make keys not deplete and call it a day. Well, they're not going to do that on its own. It's not possible to do that. That's like a whole system level change. They would need to change the way other things work to facilitate that change. Okay, so if you're asking for that, you better start thinking about what they would have to change to make that level of a change, because it's not going to just happen, right? Like, that's actually, I've been trying to tell people this for years, and I don't know how else to say it at this point. Like, they don't just do things like this because you asked for them to do it. Like, it's the equivalent of like, just make it so I don't have to level to 80 anymore. Call it a day. It's like, they're not going to do that. That's the point of the game. It has systems. You play around them. You're asking them to remove those systems. That's not going to work. You have to be better. You have to do better at feedback and giving. Anyway, all the average players saying depletes are bad and a terrible design for pugs/weekly tenors. Blizzard, let's make no depletes for 12 plus. So just suspend the... I mean, I don't think this is happening, but let's just pretend it is. All keys above 12 don't deplete. What is the complaint here? Like, who, first of all, if you're a player who's doing sub 10s or 10, I guess 10 and lower, and you're running into like problems with depletion, like, I guess we're talking about levers, right? I surely am assuming that we're talking about levers, because I don't know. Get in hot water here. I mean, I'm just going to tell you guys, if you're failing to upgrade 10s, I've been submitted some keys, guys, okay? If you're failing, especially under 10, like maybe we say 9 and lower, 10 can be kind of hard because it's got both the affixes. But if you're failing 9 and lower at this point, like in any way reliably, yeah, we got to work on that. Let's work on that, okay? We don't need Blizzard to make changes for us. Why wouldn't they make it so the key can't deplete below the different crush thresholds? And I think this is Wowhead causing this confusion because they made a bad article, a bad title too. This title's like, what the hell is this title? But yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's coming. Hey, again, could be wrong. Make a whole new video if I'm wrong. That it's all keys above 12 that are not going to ever deplete again. So you got a 20. You're just going to keep running that 20 until you get a 21. I don't think they're going to do that. Really, like, this is the WoW community right here. Incoming tears. This guy says, can't handle criticism of the game you obsess over. What are you talking about? Why did you make that assumption that that's what he meant? This is a good one. How many players even bother going for 2850? This is something that's done for the elite 1% of Mythic Plus players. Well, I think we could find the answer to that. Let's take a look. Oops. It says right here, if you've never been on this website, season rating cutoffs. Well, 2,800. Let's see. It should show... Yeah, it says it right here nowadays. Wait, that's surprising. That's right. So this actually kind of answers our question from before. 2,850 would be half 12s, I guess. Based on that number, that's a strange number. 2920. But if you had all 12s, you would not be 2850. You'd be significantly ahead of 2850. But if you had all 11s, you wouldn't even be close to 2850. You're almost 200 points shy of it. So I guess it'd be half 12s, probably. It'd be 4 out of the 8 12s. Now, we don't have an exact number because of that, but if we know that 2960 is 1.6% and all 11s is 7%, we can probably make a pretty good assumption that it's around 5% of the player base. I don't know why people make these stupid comments. I really don't. Like, brother, you think doing a 12 is elite? I don't know. And I don't think people fully understand, like, even if we talk about this number, right? Even if we're just, let's just assume 2% of the player base is done 12s in time, all 12s in time, okay? That's what we're assuming when we made this 2850 comment. I could be wrong about all of this. Let's just say 2% of the total player base, right? How much of that 98% even tries, right? Like, I mean, I guess that's kind of what the guy is saying, because he says how many players even bother going for it. But it doesn't matter if it's one player. Like, what does that matter? You got a bunch of guys who literally just do keys for currency and vaults. They're not doing progression Mythic Plus. Frankly, if you ask me, they're doing it wrong. Because the system's supposed to be about progression. But I can see why you want the gear, because it's a very good and easy way to get this gear. So what is this? Why you're not allowed to make changes for people who are actually playing the system properly? Why? Anyway, and then a lot of people are commenting on this. They're talking about the guile change. No idea. Now causes keystones above level 12. Did it actually say that? It does say above level 12, yeah. That's something I didn't read at first. Maybe that's the case? Does that mean that it only works on 13 and higher? I doubt that, to be honest. That's just another bad, like, Blizzard guys, you guys put yourself in this position. Proofread your freaking articles. Like, I mean, you really, like, I guess maybe the people who say they don't understand their own game, like, maybe this is evidence for it. Like, you left these stupid open-ended comments. Like, it needs to be clarified. Maybe by the time this video goes live, it will be, but it needs to be clarified. But yeah, I don't know. It could be true. It could be meaning that 12 is actually very easy. That's very possible. It has no buff at all, and then 13 is a huge, huge jump from 12, but it had... No, I doubt it. That doesn't make sense. The point of no depleting keys is to help people progress slowly. Why gate it until you have a rating of 2850? I think it's really just on the Wowhead article. Like, I think a lot of people are not understanding that this is probably just going to mean your key can't ever go below 12 again. Yeah, no changes to Challenger's Peril. I would have bet money. I would have bet money on this. That they were going to get rid of that. I would have bet money on it. Typical Blizzard, they probably doesn't know what they did. Xal'atad's Guile has been redesigned. Just quotes it. What does it mean? Does it replace the old Affix, which is ridiculous and causes horrible difficulty ramp and basically killed Season 1? Or is it in addition to currently active fun killing ramp? Brother, you know the current Affix is called the same thing, right? You think there's going to be a second copy of the current Xal'atad's Guile on there, and one's going to have 12 and one's going to have 10? Maybe I'm crazy. I must be the crazy one. We should suffer instead of having fun. They're talking about Challenger's Peril. Hyperbolic, but I mean, yeah, I'm really shocked that they didn't adjust Challenger's Peril. This is a good one. These guys are talking about this, which is really honestly stupid. The guy says, you have the reading comprehension of a 2-year-old starving child. Wait, hold on a second. Let's go back to that. Is it a thing when you are hungry that your reading comprehension is lower? I kind of feel like it is, to be honest. Because I'm always hungry. I only eat 1 meal a day, so... Oh, that could be it. Is that why I have such trouble reading sometimes? I like 12s not depleting to 11s because that means you can actually practice different things in the dungeon. Here's an actual salient? A solvent point, a good point. Well, I should have used regular words to describe the situation. The only issue I have is that you won't get the required IO for the achievement until you have 5 of... Oh, okay. Like, this person like actually understands everything that I don't understand. Good work, Phase. So yeah, it looks like you're going to have at least half the dungeons to get 2850. And that's not bad in my eyes. Actually, that's probably better than I originally thought. But he's right. People talk about this all the time. Like, go do lower keys if you want to practice dungeons. You can't. Because if you fail that key, then it goes even lower. Now you kind of can. You can actually practice. I mean, if your progression target is 12 or your progression target, say, like 14, like kind of where I'm at right now, we could probably learn some things from 12. Like, not a lot. I would say it's still 14 is a huge jump, but yeah, you could probably learn some things. So that's kind of cool. I guess that's one good thing. This guy's trying to explain it. Good luck. They really don't want to solve one of the main problems they created for Mythic Plus. Just remove this mechanic. If the group wants to reset the key for whatever reason, they can leave the dungeon and restart the key. As long as they don't finish the dungeon and loot the final chest, they can keep trying to time the key. If they loot it, then you deplete the key. And no higher weekly vault for taking 1 hour to finish the dungeon. You don't get that for wiping for 8 hours in a raid boss. Well, that's not very similar, but timing the key equals a raid boss kill. Then why'd you bring it? What? No, I mean, he's kind of right, I guess. But I don't know what the point of it is, to be honest. Anyway, they're basically advocating for the removal of depletion. Listen, there's nobody who would want this more than me. I promise you this. I have videos on this from Legion. Go look. I have videos on this from Legion. Okay? There's nobody who wants this more than me. Because my biggest issue with doing my own key right now is how people just take the invite and then treat me like crap, and I walk out with something less than I began with. The worst feeling in any video game. I've never felt a worse feeling than this, okay? Nobody wants it more than me. It's not going to happen. I drafted a whole system for it to try to allow it to happen because I'm thinking of ways that Blizzard might want to think about this. They are going to need a system to back up this change. It's not going to just happen where all of a sudden you log in with the 20 and you stay on 20 for the rest of your fucking life. That's ridiculous. That is going to change the way keys work. And I don't know how many people think about that. Probably if you're doing lower keys, you never even think about that. But there are groups out there that frankly have no, like, the reason they can't progress is because of the Keystone depletion system. And that's intentional. There's supposed to be these walls. Blizzard designed it this way. So, like, there's gonna still be these walls. I think you should have more control over when your key goes backwards. I proposed a currency system where even the current currencies work. This was back before these existed. But you can use Gilded Crests to buy a Keystone protection thing. So it encourages you to finish keys. Great in tandem with the current Keystone or the current Gilded Crest changes too. Because now you got all these extra crests. There's no cap on them. This would be great. I can keep protecting my key. And it would encourage me to run other people's key that I don't need for score to protect my own key to then try to get score from it. Do you understand? This would be the best case scenario because it flips the idea of only needing score from any key you ever do on its head. You need to equate these things. You need to make people want to finish keys for a good reason, and you need to make people care about score even more when they have demonstrated that they can do that adequately. It's an easy solution in my eyes. Obviously, Blizzard doesn't agree, but to say, like, just remove depletions, it's just not going to happen like that, okay? I guess a lot of people probably haven't been around Blizzard long enough, they don't know. But it's kind of disappointing because there's been a lot of chatter about this, to be honest. Like, there has been a lot of chatter about this recently. And I don't really watch other people who make videos on WoW, but I've heard that they are making a lot of videos on this topic. And this is like, if you ask me, like, what the best case scenario is that there's a unified discussion about this happening in the game. Because typically when that happens, Blizzard has no choice but to listen. But this is like a unified discussion about bad decisions. Like, you're talking about something that's just not on the table. It's really not, okay? And there's no demonstration. Like, they're just not going to do it. You're not going to be able to convince them to just remove depletions and change nothing else. Because it just doesn't make sense, like, if you think about it, right? So you need to come up with a system that actually works in our favor, but still sounds like a Blizzard system, right? That's the way I always designed this in my head. And that's the way I came up with it, so I don't know. I don't know what this Wowhead article is going to look like in the next 24 hours. Maybe I'll just be making a whole new video on this topic. There's not been any change to it. It still says this. I mean, I don't Unless they're also confusing themselves when they type this. They actually think like every key above 12 can't deplete no matter what level it is. Because that's what these people are reacting to. I think, right? I mean, that's what it sounds like to me. So let me know what you guys think about this. If you guys, like, I don't know. You comment whatever you want, but like, they're not going to get rid of they're just not going to get rid of depletion all the way. So I was hoping that it was going to be above 12 and higher, though. When I first got home, I went to a basketball game again. I got home. What is this, by the way? I got home and saw this, and I freaking screamed at the top of my lungs. Like, I was like, holy shit. I sprinted up the stairs, and I was like, then I read the actual post. I was like, oh, you son of a bitch. That's not what it says. So, let me know what you think. We'll see you guys soon.